wow, this is a really good cast. Seeing everyone together is amazing.
Thank you all for being here. I'll start with a few questions. First for Spike, maybe you could just start by talking about the initial impulse. A lot of people, when we first heard the premise of the film, talked about,
You're doing great.
Thanks. I won't direct any questions at you just yet, but talked about Siri, but I know that you had in mind a more ancient artificial intelligence program, and this is in fact a film that you've been thinking about for a while. Can you talk about what sparked it to begin with?
Yeah, the initial idea was just the initial sort of spark, I guess, was like an article I saw online where you linked to an instant message. I don't even know if I ever told you this. Did I tell you this? Okay. You could have an instant message with an artificial intelligence, and you could send a message, say, hey, so I linked to it. It was like, it might have been called Alice Bot or one of those, like 10 years ago. And I said, hello, and they're like, hello, and it's like, how are you? Like, good. And how are you? Oh, I'm not so good, a little tired. It's like, oh, that's too bad. And I was like, had like a little exchange. I was like, kind of like, I had this buzz of, wow, I'm talking to this thing. This thing is listening to me. And then quickly it sort of devolved into like, you could tell it was just sort of parroting things it had heard before, and it wasn't intelligent, but it was a clever program. But then I didn't really think about it for a long time, and then eventually I thought about the idea of a man having a relationship with an entity like that, a really fully formed consciousness, and thought about the idea of what would happen if you really had a real relationship, and use that as a way to write a relationship movie and a love story. How'd I do? Thanks. Thanks, Joaquin.
Spike, between Where the Wild Things Are and this film, you actually made a short, a wonderful short film called I'm Here, starring Andrew Garfield, another LA love story about robots. And I wonder, was that in any way, did you see that as in some way related to this? That's also a film in which romantic and existential matters are kind of connected. I was wondering if you were working on them at the same time.
Yeah, I was definitely making notes for this movie, and I got the opportunity to do that. And it was after Wild Things, which was a 5-year movie, so the idea of just doing a short film in a few months was really appealing. And but yeah, I guess it's related in that it's a love story, and it's a love story. It's a LA love story, and it's more about sort of a love story that could happen. That's more about love in your early 20s and what love is to characters at that point in their life.
You just said that you were going to do a short film in a few months. Like, only you do a short film in a few months.
How long do normal short films take?
I feel like it's less than that.
Yeah, yeah. Joaquin is commenting that even my short films take a long time, which is actually, and what's sad is actually it was probably 5 months to make that short film, not even, well. Thank you.
Since we do have this amazing cast with us, I would actually love to hear you all talk about, I don't know if you've actually had a chance to see the finished film yet. I know you literally just finished it. So if you could talk about at least your response to the script initially.
Joaquin?
Yes, Spike.
What was your response to the script initially?
I liked it.
Good. Amy?
I also liked it. I thought, I think I met with Spike before I read the script, so I was more into Spike's vision. It was compelling, and it was at a time where I was really busy, and I had a baby, and I was like, I don't have it in me to do a film right now, but every time I met with Spike, I couldn't say no because his vision was so beautiful, and it so was in line with kind of issues I was dealing with. That's the great thing about this film. I think everyone finds a piece of their own issues in it. And so I just couldn't say no, and I just had to work with Spike, and yeah.
Thanks.
You could say no, though.
I couldn't.
You could.
No, he looks like
You could have said no.
You know that
Amy.
he looks really sweet, but he's very insistent.
No, it's more that I pretended like I was about to cry if you said no and you felt too guilty.
No.
Rooney and Olivia, you?
Yeah, I really liked it too. I had to actually beg Spike for the part, though. I didn't have an option of saying no. I had to kind of beg you for it. Yeah.
Beg?
It worked. I loved the script. Everybody else was already in place. I loved it, and I loved that this supporting role was another piece of the puzzle that Spike needed, and I wanted to figure out exactly what he needed to serve this story, to make it complete, and to create something for Theodore to bounce off of, to then fall in love with Samantha. I thought how interesting. It's kind of the experience that pushes him into this deep love. And so I just wanted to be able to make it work the way it needed to work for the story. And then Spike and I read for like an hour and a half and had so much fun with it. And even after that experience, I was like, if that's it, that's already great. I already loved this experience. But getting to go to China for a week and hang out with these guys was pretty amazing.
Spike, can you talk a bit about this very specific and detailed near-future world that you created with your longtime production designer, KK Barrett? I mean, there's so many details in the film, design-wise, and also combining Los Angeles with the exteriors in Shanghai.
Yeah, I think the initial idea was to try to make this sort of future, the future LA that felt nice to be in and nice to live in, and sort of playing off of just the fact that our world is getting nicer and nicer to live in like New York and Los Angeles, and especially LA, where the weather is so nice, and there's great food, and the mountains are there, and the ocean is there, and but it's still even in that sort of setting, it can feel very isolated and lonely, and that seemed like an interesting setting, and actually I met the architects that redid Lincoln Center and did the High Line, Liz and Rick, and they and this was when I was writing the script, so I was still trying to figure out what it was, and I just got the opportunity to meet them and go to their office and talk to them, and Liz had gone to film school. She was before she became an architect, so she was very interesting to talk to, because she came from architect but also storytelling, and I remember asking her about like what the future could look like, and she asked a really simple question, which was, well, is it a utopian future or a dystopian future? And I started sort of saying, what I was imagining, like I had this sort of idea of like the colors from Jamba Juice, and and she was like, okay, and then she started giving ideas and talking about stuff, and then it was really that sort of basic question that she asked that gave that sort of made it concrete in a way, like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm making this sort of utopian future that even in this world, there's, I guess to feel lonely in that setting is kind of even worse, because it's like a world where you should be getting everything you need, seemingly.
Can you, maybe Joaquin, if you feel like joining in, talk a bit about, I don't know. Sure. About working with the invisible co-lead actress, leading lady, which I know it's already been documented in the press that there was Samantha Morton played the part initially, and then Scarlett Johansson was recast. The challenges of acting opposite somebody who's not physically present. What's that?
Are y'all gonna? Is everyone seeing the movie?
They were just here.
Oh, you
yes.
just saw the movie?
Yeah, they just saw the movie.
Okay, this makes sense now. Well, I want to say that I trained really hard, and I did a bunch of work, but I'm an actor, so I'm accustomed to walking around my house and kind of talking to myself. You rehearse all the time, and so I don't think it was that dissimilar.
Wow, he did it.
Thank you. That's great. Okay, we'll take some questions.
Hi, for Spike. You've been at this for, 20 years now. And I'm curious, how difficult has it been to sort of maintain a creative identity? I don't mean creative control, but creative identity over the changes of the past 20 years.
I guess that's an interesting question. I don't know if I have a good answer for it, but I guess just just trying making a lot of mistakes, doing things along the way that like didn't feel like that was me, or making something that's like, oh, that felt inauthentic to me, and sort of learning from those mistakes and trying to stay on the things that feel more true to me, as opposed to me trying to do something, be somebody else.
Spike, I wanted to say this is an unusually perceptive film about loneliness. It's a beautiful picture, and first of all, I wanted to say thank you for that. You rarely see that, but you know, for Joaquin, is it getting into that kind of space for that character, just to have this sort of crushing loneliness, even if you're surrounded by people, very polite people, the characters that interact with your character are very forthcoming, very polite, but at the same time there's sort of a real definite sadness in there, sort of a very concrete loneliness. I wanted you to talk about that in any sort of way that you would like, I guess.
Okay, seriously, thanks for being here. I don't know how to answer this. I actually, I think honestly, Spike, I think Spike just broke me. To be honest, kind of going into the movie, all I was concerned about was trying to feel natural, with something that wasn't there, and I think I kind of overlooked the loneliness of the character. And so in the first couple weeks, Spike just crushed me, and I'm not sure exactly what happened or how, but that's the question that I want to answer.
Spike, do you want to chime in on that?
How did I crush him?
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of shooting rubber bands at me.
It's true. Yeah, just undermining him in every chance I could get, I guess. No, I think he's joking.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how. I don't know.
There's these three ladies that are so smart and beautiful
can
and
you
cool,
guys
and I feel like we should
please
talk to
save us?
them because they have so much to say.
Rooney, please.
Rooney, don't do that. They flew you out here. Warner Brothers flew you out here. I'm so sorry, everyone. Poor kid, she's nervous.
Hi, my question is for Spike. Samantha Morton was the original voice of Samantha, and I was curious how having Scarlett Johansson come in and replace her changed the tone of the character and the tone of the film.
Well, who's speaking? I can't see you. Oh, there you are. What's your name?
My name's Matt.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
This is nice. Yeah. Hey, Matt. Joaquin wanted to thank you for coming, by the way.
Thank you for coming, Matt.
Thanks, Joaquin. I appreciate it.
That's a good. I mean, I think it's a. I think the movie. I mean, to sort of be vague about it, the movie. I think every movie, or at least every movie I've worked on, takes a long time to sort of find what it is, and that was part of the process of this movie finding what it was. And I think that. I don't know. I guess I'm hesitant to answer that question because I think what Samantha brought the movie by being with us on set was huge, and what she gave me in the movie and what she gave Joaquin off camera was huge, and then I think what Scarlett gave the movie was also huge, and so I kind of just want to would rather leave it at that. Sorry, Matt.
Hi.
If I...
Oops.
Thanks for coming, Matt.
Hi. I'm sitting down in the first row if you want to find me. Here I am. Hi.
What's your name?
Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. And all of you, nice to meet you all. Thank you for being here. In terms of the film finding itself, it never found itself into some of the realities, alternate realities, that have been discovered through computer gaming. There's no suggestion of Life 101 or whatever it's called. I wonder why you decided not to ever identify Samantha in an avatar or have them have some kind of an engagement in cyberspace. I like the fact that you didn't, but I wonder why you didn't venture in that direction.
Why we didn't? Both of you guys went to college, right? You did? Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Did you?
You
Oh.
know I didn't.
Okay, so Rooney, you could answer this then, as the only college graduate.
The question was like specifically at you. I have no idea why you didn't decide to use an avatar.
Thanks. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better that you didn't, but I have no idea.
It seems that it would have been a temptation in some ways to exploit that other.
The option. Yeah, I think I like the idea of him or her existing more as more where, you know, in the way she does exist, which is more in the ether and in his, you know, in his heart and psyche and yeah, and so I think that was probably the yeah, exactly what you said. Yeah.
I would add that
Yes.
I think as a fan of that choice, that she then becomes your ideal, that it becomes your own experience. And even if people may be familiar with Scarlett's voice and then imagine her as an actress, I think it transforms, and I think she becomes whatever you want her to become. And I think if you had defined her, you would have stopped people from being able to create that for themselves. So I think that's one cool effect of it.
Who needs a college education?
Don't need college. Not me.
Hello. Thanks for bringing the film here. It was an exceptional experience and completely emotionally unpredictable, which is awesome. As I was watching, and I was just like, I have no idea if this is going to end with them evolving to the point where they just decide they have to destroy humanity completely. So, you know, well done on that front.
Thank you.
The question I have, it's very simple. It's kind of silly, but I have to know, where did the perfect mom game come from? It's so eerily specific on so many levels, and yet it's fascinating. And
The
I just
perfect
wanted to
mom.
ask about that.
I think just the you know the pressure of parenthood and the peer pressure of parenthood, and just seemed like a funny setting for a video game for me. I don't know. Amy, you're a parent. Do you find that kind of peer pressure?
Oh, yeah.
It's intense.
It's really intense. I think we ad-libbed some of that stuff.
Yeah,
and
we
I
did.
was like, oh, yeah, I know this.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is
Actually,
good.
a lot of when she's saying, most of her commentary is ad-libbed actually because she knows it firsthand.
Spike and cast. My name is Jim. I'm over here. Thank you very much for this film. I'm very glad that you balanced the human sort of relationship with the computer relationship. I was very moved by the difficulty that the humans had in communicating with each other on the most intimate levels. And many of your films have been about intimacy, and particularly men's inability to really be intimate. So I'd like if you could talk a little bit about how you are bringing forward a male character in a very contemporary way that is quite different than what we've seen men on screen before, and the actors, the male and the females on the stage, about how you see in this writing perhaps a more dimensioned, contemporary questioning of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, and what it means to be intimate.
Wow, that's a really good question. I definitely can't live up to the question, live up to that. But but thank you for that. And I don't know. One thing I don't know. I don't know if this exactly answers that, but maybe we'll get to a good answer. But I was thinking about one of the things that a conversation that Olivia and I were having when we were rehearsing. It was what you hear when somebody says something to you, and that, like, because there's the scene where Olivia saying, when am I going to see you again? We were talking about what is she hearing when he says, I'm not sure, I'm busy, I can't, like, And so we were making up all kinds of stories of what she actually hears that gets her to the place where she says, "You're a creepy dude." And I think that sort of was sort of inherent in everything we did, is what you're actually hearing when somebody is saying to you something. And it's like not necessarily hearing exactly what they say, but hearing what you think they mean.
Yeah, and you said something really interesting yesterday about the fact that the artificial intelligence carries no baggage. That's something about Samantha. She's pure, which makes her even more of a kind of ideal romantically, of course. But the difference between humans and artificial intelligence is baggage. So whereas the blind date carries an enormous amount of pain and baggage and projecting all of that on what Theodore is saying, Samantha is so open-minded and only sees the best and assumes the best. So that's, I guess, a difference between human, I mean, maybe male-female too, but maybe not. Maybe it's human and artificial.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that we were talking about yesterday, and that I talked a lot about to Scarlett about, was that Samantha is brand new to the world. So she's like a child that hasn't learned any insecurities, any self-doubts, and that she learns those through the course of the movie. She has these experiences that give her that kind of those kind of painful situations that create those kind of self-doubts, and I think Scarlett was when it was when we were first working on it that we were talking about that, and I think that's when she started to understand how hard that role would be to like sort of try and go back to that place where you don't have those kind of fears yet, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know how this exactly rates, but when Amy and I started working together, we were talking a lot about how we're meeting her character at this moment in time where she's been trying to be all of these things to her husband and to everything in her relationship, and then she's like sort of imploding, and she's sort of willfully in this act of.
Well, I don't think it's a male-female thing as far as intimacy, and I think that if Spike's exploring it from a male point of view, it's because he's male. But I don't think being fearful of intimacy or lack of intimacy is specifically male, or that is a failure in men specifically. And there's lots of different reasons. It's hard to just boil it down to one thing. Each person has their own reasons why intimacy is hard. For Amy, and I'm not speaking in third person, I'm speaking of my character. Amy has a hard time with intimacy.
Yes, Spike has a hard time too. Yeah.
No. So because Amy's been pretending to be somebody else and someone she's not, it keeps her from being her true self. And when you're not expressing yourself as your true self, you can never find true intimacy because you're always hiding. And I think that the relationship that she has with Theodore is probably the most intimate in her life because it's the most honest.
Well, 2 more questions. Hello. Hi, over here to your right, I believe. Yep. Hi. So my favorite scene was actually the one between Joaquin and Rooney, where she mentions that his distillation of women down to a very finite thing. Like it's just one simple thing that he doesn't need to worry about all the other baggage that comes with a person. And I was wondering whether you considered examining that closer, or whether you very deliberately chose to represent a world where this human and AI relationship is considered, at least from what we can see in the movie, is conceived to be quite normal. Because no one seems to actually raise a question about the questionable nature of his relationship, or anyone else's throughout the film.
Well, Rooney did, though.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, that was my favorite film, but I was wondering whether you considered examining that.
This question's
further.
for Rooney, right?
She can answer it, yes.
We've been trying to keep her quiet all day, so we'll allow her to speak.
I think the question was for you. What was the question? I don't even remember that.
Did you consider examining that point of view more, or whether you very deliberately chose to present it as a society that considers this kind of relationship normal?
Yeah, I think I can't. There might have been a couple other characters along the way that questioned it too. It sort of fell by the wayside. But it seemed like, you know, Rooney's character and Rooney's performance sort of delivered that message, and represented that part of the population. But yeah, I think there was a sort of general sort of acceptance of it that seemed right for the film. We have one more question for Rooney. We have time for one more.
How's college, Rooney? Did it go?
I didn't like college very much, so.
Just going back to the Perfect Mom game, I think there's a lot of stuff that pointed out that people still think relationships are supposed to be perfect. And the whole thing with their original relationship is they're under a guise that fell apart. The little kid in the video game, like he says, like, oh, there's something wrong about him, but I still love him. So was there a lot of trying to guise where you want to move the movie to talking about just relationships in general and just this story in general, where, you know, and performance-wise, if it fit into how you thought about your own characters?
Wait, will you say it again?
Basically, there's a lot of stuff in the movie that's pointing out, you know, people think that relationships are supposed to be perfect, but it's not the forefront of everything. What was the, like, kind of guiding yourself between what points of the ideas of relationships you wanted to work on?
The idea of, I guess what you're asking, like, how much did we talk about the ideas of the film versus the relationships and the characters of the film? I'd say mostly we just talked about the relationships and the characters of the film, maybe. Joaquin? Sounds good. Rooney?
Definitely. We definitely.
Amy?
Amy, please help.
Well, no. Yeah, we just spent a lot of time dissecting the characters and finding the truth of where they were in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the movies that I watched when I was writing was Crimes and Misdemeanors, because that script is so incredibly written, because it kind of does what you're saying, which is there's a lot of talking about the ideas of what the movie's about, but mostly the characters are plowing through the story and taking you through the story through their decisions, and I think that was really inspiring, that movie.
Great. Thank you all for being here. Congratulations on the film. Thanks.